Chapter 10. Eclipsed Truths. Grey clouds rolled in before dawn, casting the city in a half-lit murk that seemed to swallow the horizon. Selene stood outside the workshop, drawing her jacket tighter against the cool air. A faint metallic taste tinged her tongue, the promise of rain, or perhaps only her own anxiety. Today marked a crossroads. If the plan to infiltrate the archives succeeded, they might finally glean the truth about her parents and the other Dreamweavers lost to the government's grasp. If it failed, she banished the thought, shivering at the implications. Inside, she heard hushed voices, footsteps scraping over concrete. The watchers were already up, tension coiling around every word. She steeled herself and returned indoors to find Draven, Ava, and Ethan gathered around a jury-rigged computer station in the corner. "Everything set?" she asked, voice subdued. Ethan nodded. "As ready as it can be. Victor, our tech-savvy watcher, sent word that he's confirmed the location of the archive data. We'll move out in an hour." A flicker of hesitation crossed his face before he offered a reassuring half-smile. "We can do this." Selene wanted to believe him. She quickly scanned the workshop. Most watchers were busy packing small rucksacks with tools, checking battered sidearms or rummaging through crates of salvage. The earlier suspicion about a traitor in their midst lingered in the background, but with no proof, they had to move forward, trusting each other at least for now. Lyle lingered near a window, arms folded. His gaze flicked to Selene, unreadable as always. She looked away, remembering the sense of unease that stuck like a burr whenever she saw him. But this was bigger than personal mistrust. They needed every able body. Ava approached, pressing a small electronic band into Selene's hand. "Wear this. It'll dampen any dream energy bursts if we need to blend illusions on the fly. It might keep them from tracking us too easily." Selene nodded, swallowing the knot in her throat. "Thank you." The rendezvous point for the infiltration lay in the industrial sector, a drab maze of defunct warehouses and smoke-stained smokestacks. By midday, Selene, Draven, and a half-dozen watchers were huddled in a disused freight loading bay. The target building, a squat concrete complex adorned with the regime's emblems, loomed a block away. Armed enforcers loitered near the main entrance, weapons casually slung over their shoulders, as if daring trouble to find them. Selene peered around the corner. Her pulse thumped like a distant drum. We should be safe as long as illusions hold. Draven had a better plan, though. A covert entrance in the building's rear, leading to a seldom-used sub-level. Ethan joined her, leaning to whisper in her ear. "Lyle and 2 watchers will create a distraction at the loading dock. Draven and I will cut through the fence. You go with Ava. Work your illusions if it gets dicey inside." She met his gaze, exhaling shaky relief that he would be close. "Let's do it." With silent signals, the small team moved. Lyle and his group split off, creeping toward the loading dock. Selene caught a glimpse of Lyle's tense expression before he vanished behind a row of rusting cargo containers. Moments later, a thunderous clatter rang out. The watchers had shoved metal drums off a ramp, sending them crashing into a chaotic racket. Shouts erupted, and the enforcers at the main entrance sprinted toward the commotion. "That's our cue," Draven said, voice tight. "Go." They darted through the rain-slick alley. Ava pressed a device to a chain-link fence, which hissed and sparked, severing it without much noise. Draven and Ethan held the cut edges aside so Selene and Ava could slip through. Even in her fear, Selene marveled at how swiftly the watchers had turned junk into life-saving contraptions. The sub-level entrance loomed, a thick metal door with chipped paint. Ava fiddled with the locking mechanism while Selene kept watch, adrenaline pumping at every echo of boots on pavement. At last, the door gave way with a strained groan. They hurried inside, sealing it behind them. The sub-level corridor was cold and dimly lit by flickering fluorescent tubes overhead. Dusty crates and broken machinery formed silent sentinels along the walls. Selene followed Ava's lead, feeling Draven and Ethan close behind. The plan: find the data vault, extract whatever records they could on Dreamweaver arrests, including Selene's parents, and slip out before the enforcers realized they'd been duped. They advanced in careful steps until the corridor opened onto a security station. 2 startled guards jolted upright, reaching for sidearms. Ava reacted faster, conjuring an empathic surge that dulled their aggression. Selene, seizing her cue, coaxed the flicker of an illusion from her core, shadows of ghostly figures dancing at the edges of the station, spooking the guards into alarmed confusion. Draven lunged in, subduing them with swift, precise strikes. It was over in seconds. Ethan exhaled, glancing anxiously back the way they'd come. "Let's find the data vault, quick." Draven motioned to the sealed metal doors labeled Archives. Ava produced another salvaged device that spat sparks as it worked to override the electronic lock. Selene's heart hammered, half expecting alarm klaxons any moment. The door slid open, revealing rows of tall cabinets interspersed with computer terminals. The musty air smelled of old documents and stale disinfectant. "Spread out," Draven ordered. "Grab anything referencing Dreamweavers' dream technology arrests. Move." They scattered, rummaging through drawers and scanning the scuffed terminals. Selene scanned an aging index screen that beeped under her touch, searching for keywords. Dreamweaver, mind control, Selene's parents. Each result made her pulse spike. Some files were encrypted, but Ethan's watchful presence guided her to a simpler directory. She tapped on a file name that read, Case Hash D77, Unauthorized Dream Manipulation. The date was old, years before her birth. The screen flickered, revealing a partially garbled but undeniable record. Notes on an operation targeting a Dreamweaver couple rumored to have a child with latent abilities. The name field was mostly redacted, but Selene recognized the faint outlines of her surname, half obscured. Her throat tightened. This must be them. She devoured every fragment, allegations of advanced illusions, forced suppression of their powers, indefinite detainment. A final note. Child unaccounted for, potential risk. A wave of cold dread enveloped her. She scrolled, searching for an ending, a mention of fate. Nothing, just dead space where the text cut off. They never typed up the conclusion, or they hid it elsewhere. Selene. Ethan's voice broke through her trance. "We've got trouble." She jerked her head up to see him near the entrance, eyes scanning the corridor. The distant thunk of boots echoed. In a flurry, the watchers downloaded files onto portable drives, stuffing physical documents into backpacks. Draven hissed, "We can't fight them off, we have to go." "What about Lyle's team?" Ava murmured anxiously. Before anyone could answer, a klaxon blared, red emergency lights strobing across the walls. The corridor thundered with approaching enforcers. "Move," Draven barked. Selene clutched the printouts detailing her parents' case, heart pounding. Ethan slammed the archive door behind them as they sprinted back through the sublevel. The siren's wail reverberated through the narrow hall. Enforcers appeared at the far end, weapons raised. Instinct flared. Adrenaline pumped. Selene mustered an illusion, a swirl of shifting shapes obscuring the watcher's retreat. Ava's empathic push unsettled the guards enough that their aim faltered. Gunfire cracked, bullets shrieking past. Sparks flew off the metal walls. Half blind with urgency, they tore back to the exit door, flung it open, and burst into the alley's rain-slick gloom. 2 watchers dashed ahead, scanning the perimeter. Lyle's decoy team was nowhere in sight. Distant shouts echoed, but the immediate path was clear. "We go," Draven roared. They fled into the labyrinth of warehouses and dripping pipelines, each second a near miss for the enforcers who'd soon swarm the district. That evening, they regrouped at a temporary hideout, an old storage silo a few blocks from the workshop. Their breathing ragged, clothes damp, adrenaline still coursing, they dumped their stolen data onto a rickety table. The watchers quickly set about rifling through printed files and scanning drives, eyes darting with desperate curiosity. Selene hunched in the corner, hugging her arms. She'd snatched only a handful of pages referencing her parents, yet they told so little, only that the regime had deemed them high-threat Dreamweavers, locked them away. Are they still alive? Ethan approached, concern etched on his features. He handed her a small printout, a lead about an older detention facility used for special anomalies. Might be the place her parents were taken, if they were alive at all. The possibility jolted her breath from her lungs, filling her with a conflicting rush of hope and dread. Draven paced restlessly, scanning the rest of the documents. They've been expanding Dreamtech for years, using captured Dreamweavers as test subjects. It's worse than I thought. A hush settled as watchers exchanged grim looks. Ava clasped Selene's hand, her empathic warmth a tiny comfort. "We have the truth now," she said softly. "Or pieces of it. We won't let that truth stay eclipsed forever." Selene's eyes stung with the weight of what they'd discovered. The oppression she'd lived under was bigger, older, and more systematic than she dared imagine. It had devoured her family, threatened her friends, and sought to crush anyone who dared to dream freely. She inhaled, shaky but resolute. "We'll find them, my parents, or at least find out what really happened. Then we tear down this machine that's swallowing people whole." Ethan's hand hovered near hers. Draven's solemn gaze locked onto her. Around them, the watchers stiffened with renewed resolve. In that flickering lamp's glow, the stolen records lay like a testament of stolen lives. The final illusions about the regime's justice were gone, eclipsed by the raw reality of what the government would do for control. Outside, thunder rumbled again, but Selene no longer felt the dread in that sound. Instead, she felt the stirrings of a fiercer storm gathering within her, a storm that might one day wipe the slate clean, if only they could harness it. With her parents' memory fueling her, she stood on the threshold of a truth that might reshape every dream she'd ever known.